Welcome to this Masterclass Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a topic that is absolutely 100% non-negotiable if you want to secure a top-tier grade in the Cambridge AS and A-Level Accounting 9706 syllabus. We are talking about computerized accounting systems. Now listen closely, because according to the actual Cambridge Principal Examiner reports, this specific topic appears in virtually every single examination series. And it doesn't just show up as a quick multiple-choice question. It almost always lands as a high-stakes, high-tariff essay prompt worth anywhere from 9 to 15 marks. That's a massive chunk of your grade. So today, we're not just going to recite textbook definitions. We're going to look exactly at how to structure your answers, how to deploy elite critical thinking strategies, and how to avoid the hidden traps that cost thousands of students their A-star every single year.
Here is our exact battle plan for today's session. First up, the command words anatomy. Second, the deconstruction debate. Third, the method mark strategy. Fourth, a pause and practice workshop. And finally, our strategy recap.
Let's jump right into section 1. The command words anatomy, decoding the prompt.
Okay, let's really dive into this. The very first place candidates hemorrhage marks in the exam room is due to a fundamental misunderstanding of the prompt's hidden constraints. So I have to ask this critical question. Why do so many hardworking candidates completely fail to achieve analytical depth, even when they know all the facts? Well, examiners heavily, and I mean heavily, penalize superficial breadth. What does that mean? It means brain dumping a massive list of generic advantages, like saying it's faster, it saves physical space, or it's easier to read, is going to severely cap your grade. You could write 2 pages of those bullet points and still fail the question. Examiners are actively hunting for deep, structured reasoning. They want to see cross-topic connections. For instance, they want to see you connect how automated trial balances specifically affect the accuracy of year-end adjustments. It's not about how much you know, it's about how deeply you can connect what you know.
To get that depth, you have to understand the stark contrast between 2 highly misunderstood command words. We're talking about analyze versus evaluate. Analyzing requires you to identify direct causal relationships. For example, a great analytical point is, automating a trial balance directly reduces arithmetic errors because the software balances the ledgers inherently. That's a solid analysis. But if the command word on your paper is evaluate, that analysis alone completely falls short. Evaluation requires you to actively judge limitations, question the underlying assumptions, and provide a weighted recommendation. You absolutely must take it a step further and add something like, however, systemic errors from flawed initial data entry will propagate instantly across all accounts, meaning the ultimate success of the system depends heavily on staff training. Do you see the difference? Evaluation demands your judgment. It's not just stating what happens, it's judging the ultimate impact of what happens.
Moving right along to section 2. The deconstruction debate, navigating peer approaches.
Let's look at this through the eyes of 2 typical students trying to deconstruct a real prompt. Imagine 2 peers in a study suite. Let's call them Alex and Sam. They're staring at this exact question. To what extent does transitioning to a computerized system benefit a growing retail business? Now, Alex is a highly technical, factual thinker. Alex immediately pushes for a purely factual approach, wanting to just list off undeniable benefits like rapid processing speeds and better password security. But Sam, who is a much more conceptual thinker, hits the brakes. Sam argues that they have to zero in on the specific context. This is a growing retail business. Sam points out that with a rapidly increasing volume of daily transactions, they can't just talk about security. They have to evaluate the system's scalability against the massive operational disruption of switching away from a manual cash book while the business is actively trying to expand. This exact debate between listing facts and evaluating context is the key to unlocking those top-tier marking bands.
And Sam is absolutely right, which becomes painfully obvious when they look at the Cambridge assessment objectives. This breakdown right here changes everything. AO1, which is your knowledge and understanding, basically all those facts Alex wanted to list, only accounts for 20% of the total marks. Think about that. For a high-tariff 15-mark question, a massive brain dump of pure facts earns you a maximum of just 3 marks. That is it. A staggering 80% of your total grade is locked firmly behind AO2 application, which means applying your knowledge to that specific retail scenario, and AO3 evaluation, which is weighing the pros and cons to form a judgment. Alex and Sam quickly realized that a purely factual approach is a one-way ticket to a mediocre grade. To unlock those A-star bands, you must abandon the generic lists and rigorously apply your facts to the context provided.
Now, before we look at the exact strategy Alex and Sam used to overcome this massive roadblock, I need you to pause and reflect. Recognizing this huge gap between simply stating a fact and actually evaluating its business impact is literally the hardest conceptual leap in the entire 9706 syllabus. Bridging that gap is what separates average grades from elite top-tier success. If you want to consistently master these Cambridge exam hacks and get an insider's look at exactly how to secure those marks, make sure you hit subscribe to ACT Exams IGCSE O and A-Levels right now. Enable all notifications so you never miss our weekly breakthrough strategies. Trust me, you're going to want this edge in the exam room.
All right, let's get back into it with Section 3, the Method Mark Strategy, earning points for process.
So Alex and Sam are sitting there realizing they need a framework. This is where the method mark strategy comes in. You need to understand that examiners are actively looking to award you marks for your procedural framework and your clear working. This means a highly structured process actually earns you points even if your final conclusion has a minor flaw. It's all about showing your work cognitively. We break this down into a 5-step framework. Step 1, identify key elements. What are we actually talking about? In this case, computerized systems. Step 2, apply relevant principles from your accounting knowledge. Step 3, execute analysis. This means showing clear workings of cause and effect. Step 4, verify results against the constraints of the prompt. Is this actually answering the specific question asked? And finally, Step 5, present in format. Make sure you are using precise, professional terminology. Let's look at exactly how Alex and Sam applied this framework to rewrite their answer. Let's compare their initial, flawed draft to a flawless response. A mediocre answer just states, computerized systems are faster and have fewer errors. As we established, that is pure AO1 knowledge with 0 evaluation. It gets maybe 1 mark. Now look at the flawless answer applying our framework. While computerized systems accelerate processing speed for high-volume retail transactions, initial setup costs and staff training temporarily reduce operational efficiency. Do you see the absolute night and day difference there? Notice the use of the comparative connective word, while. Notice the specific context of high-volume retail transactions. Notice the brilliant contrast they created between the long-term advantage of speed and the short-term limitation of setup friction. That is a full-mark, top-band sentence.
Okay, it is time for Section 4, our Pause and Practice Workshop. Let's run an interactive exam simulation.
Under exam conditions, the clock is ticking, and you have to instantly extract and synthesize data from a stimulus. So let's test your skills right now. Look at this data table. We are looking at a transition from a manual system to a computerized system. The setup costs jump from low to high. The required training time spikes dramatically from 5 hours to 40 hours. However, the error rate absolutely plummets from 8% down to just 1%. Now imagine a 60-second countdown timer ticking away. How do you interpret the relationship between these specific metrics? If you just write down, training time is higher in the new system, you completely fail the analysis criteria. You must articulate the tension between that severe short-term friction and the massive long-term operational gain.
So what is the correct analytical path here? Let's systematically dissect it. The short-term implementation costs, which means buying the hardware, licensing the software, and suffering through 40 hours of staff downtime for training, are highly painful for a growing business. It's a huge hit to immediate productivity. But look at the long-term efficiency gains. Slashing the error rate from 8% to 1% means drastically fewer suspense accounts to clear up, far less time spent tracking down missing entries, and highly accurate real-time reporting for management. An evidence-based conclusion here must explicitly state that the long-term strategic advantages of that 1% error rate completely and totally outweigh the acute high short-term implementation costs. You have to weigh the two bars against each other.
Now, I want to challenge you to spot the flaw. Listen to this direct quote from the ultimate authority, the Principal Examiner Report. The classic mistake is providing generic answers not specific to the question context. Always link every point to the given scenario. This is the ultimate warning. Imagine a hypothetical student writes a beautiful, detailed paragraph praising a computerized system's secure, automated cloud backups. Technically, everything they wrote about cloud backups is 100% factual. But what if the scenario provided in the prompt is about a local, single-person market stall transitioning from a notebook to a basic offline spreadsheet? In that specific context, enterprise-grade cloud backups are totally irrelevant to their immediate real-world needs. The student gets 0 marks for application. To ensure you never make that mistake, let's highlight the top 3 massive examiner traps you must avoid. Trap number 1, vague, unspecific details. Please, don't just write, "It's more secure." You need to specify it utilizes encrypted password protection and user access levels.
Trap number 2, forgetting the format and presentation. If the prompt explicitly asks you to prepare a report for the directors and you write a standard academic essay layout, you immediately drop presentation marks. And trap number 3, which is by far the deadliest, ignoring the provided business context. As we just saw, failing to link an advantage, like data security or speed, to the specific scenario on the page guarantees you are locked out of the top marking bands. Context is quite literally everything.
We are entering the final act. Section 5, the final strategy, recap, the examiner's playbook.
Just like Alex and Sam figured out, having a reliable system is your best defense against exam panic. I want to give you a powerful cognitive anchor to take into the exam room with you. Just remember the acronym CASE. C stands for context. You must always ground your answer in the specific scenario provided. A stands for applied terminology. Don't use casual language. Use accounting terms like ledger, capital expenditure, and revenue. S stands for similarities and differences. Always deploy those comparative connectives like however and while to show you see both sides. And E stands for evaluate evidence. Actively judge the business impact over the short term versus the long term. If you use the CASE method, you guarantee that you are hitting every single assessment objective.
Let's rapidly synthesize everything we've learned today into 3 core actionable pillars so you can execute flawlessly under time pressure. Pillar 1 is the 3-step question scan. Before your pen even touches the paper, identify the exact command word, the core topic, and the specific business context. Pillar 2 is the paragraph balance formula. Every time you write, aim for a blend of 20% pure knowledge, 40% application to the scenario, and 40% evaluative judgment. And Pillar 3 is the last 5 minutes review checklist. You must always save the last 5 minutes to review your work and ensure your final conclusion actually answers the specific prompt asked rather than the question you wish they had asked.
You now hold the exact step-by-step blueprint that examiners use to award A-stars in the Cambridge 9706 syllabus. But remember, just knowing this strategy is only half the battle. Executing it is where champions are made. As you review your own notes and tackle past papers this week, I want you to constantly ask yourself, am I just reciting facts or am I actually evaluating a real business's reality? How will you adapt to this framework the very next time a complex, high-tariff scenario is sitting on the desk in front of you? If you are seriously committed to crushing your Cambridge exams, you need to hit that subscribe button for Ace the Exams IGCSE O and A levels right now. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss an explainer, and jump into the comments right now and tell us your target grade. Commit to your success, put in the work, and I will see you in the next masterclass.